Chris, just to start, what was, and sorry for a little repetitive
No,
here,
no, no, no worries.
but what was the process like just kind of reflecting back on your life, trying to lay out the timeline and putting this all together, and kind of what do you feel like you learned about yourself in the process?
Yeah, so it was a wonderful journey, a little bit difficult because it was kind of tough to put together a timeline. So I just kind of honored the generations behind me and then kind of went in chronological order. I think what I learned about myself is I'm just really thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the friends and people that I had in my life that encouraged me, that helped me reach my goals. Because a lot of times we all know the difference between negative and positive energy. And that positive energy that I had in my life that kept me accountable, that made me want to continue working, that kept me in an environment of love, helps you so that when you get to those worst, to those times that are some of the worst in your life, that you kind of understand that it's going to be okay. And so I celebrate my family, I celebrate my time in the league, and I definitely celebrate the people and the team in Sacramento.
What made you want to share? Like, you got into media not long after playing and everything, but what made you willing to be so open?
So I've always wanted to be open. I've always wanted to discuss. But what I've learned, though, from being in the media since I was 12 years old, that you're really not going to get the time with context to tell your story. So unless you have the time, you're really just going to confuse everyone or validate idiotic theories because you spoke for 15 seconds about something. And so for me, I felt like I wanted to give people that supported me something to look at. I wanted to have something for my family and for my kids to know, like, this is what happened. But also, I felt good being able to tell my story for once, because so many times people have spoken for me. And so I've always wanted to tell it. I just felt that I needed time, and retirement has given me that opportunity.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Was there any other people's story maybe you saw when you were younger, or even after you got out of the league, that you kind of saw them do it, and that was inspiring in a way?
Well, the first book I read that I remember reading, really autobiography, was My 6 Seasons with Bobby Knight by Steve Alford. And so I'm an avid reader, and being an avid reader, I wanted to give people something that I wanted to read. So I made sure that not only does the book have over 400 pages, but over 100 pictures, because as I read, I want to stop right there and not just go to the middle and find that person you're talking about, but I may Google, I may get online, I want to know more about the context. And so hopefully I speak to people like I'm sitting right next to them, and I'm just excited about the opportunity to share these stories. But I've been wanting to share them for a long time, and glad I finally put the pen to paper.
And you mentioned overheard, like, you were a little hesitant to name it what you did, going by God's grace. Didn't want it to come off as maybe like a full-on faith book. But what do you feel like people that maybe necessarily don't have that same faith as you can take from it?
Well, I feel that people can take from this book that the strength is inside of them. We look for strength so many other places, and the book is named by God's grace because I had wonderful people remind me of the strength in me, whether it was my parents, whether it was a coach, whether it was Jay Will screaming like he's Ric Flair throwing me an alley-oop. But you want to keep good people and positive people around your space, and I would just encourage people for that, because it helps your faith. And everyone has to have faith, whether it is you're at a job or whether it is you have children. And faith meaning, like, you know that the best is coming, that you're doing your best. And so I would just hope that people understand that the work is in them, the heart is in them, and that it's all about faith and perseverance. But they are the answer. And hopefully you get that through some stories and a little bit of vulnerability, or a lot of vulnerability in the book.
And obviously we're in Sacramento here now.
Yeah.
No secret, you weren't too excited necessarily
Right.
about being here.
Right.
How much do you kind of reflect on that? And just what was that process like for you of getting accustomed here? And did that kind of change your mindset moving forward with things?
Yeah, so I really hate harping on the fact that I didn't want to be here. But I hope, because I think people stick with that, not that you are, but I hope they get that I'm really being vulnerable about telling you how wrong I was.
Yeah.
It took one day. It took one practice, seeing Jay Will. There's no team or no place that I claim more than Sacramento or want to be. And so hopefully people will look in their lives and say, wait, maybe I don't want to be here, but let me be open to the opportunity. And that's all I'm saying, be open to it. Because once I got here, I fell in love with the people, I fell in love with the fans, I fell in love with my teammates. And I think that when I talk about how our team impacted around the world because of Vlade and Peja and others, like I get stories when I travel all around the world about our impact, and I know it was real. And the reason why our impact was real is because we loved each other. Like we played for each other, you know? And we talk about that too. So if there's kids that in AAU just want to be the man and you want to hog and play hero ball, well then you're not going to have an experience like us because you're not going to get the love. And when you know that it's okay, when you enjoy the process and the journey, when you're not as anxious, when you chase your dreams, you're gonna get that love. And so it's special times here. And yeah, Sacramento in my book, I believe Sacramento brings everything together because it was the culmination of faith, it was the culmination of time, it was the culmination of mistakes, it was the culmination of I'm ready to do this, it was the culmination of ownership, it was a combination of Vlade, Peja, crazy guys, you know, and so it was just the perfect storm, and I'm thankful that I was part of that perfect storm.
And
Yeah, I think we all go through like forms of finding therapy and different things, whether it's going on walks, playing sports, music. How therapeutic was that writing process for you, just diving into it from everything you've been through?
It was very therapeutic, cathartic, and I've been asking friends to go interview their family and friends. And I would just suggest everyone go do that. You don't have to write a book, but you're gonna find out things about your family you didn't know. You're gonna find out things about yourself that you didn't know, and that's what it was like for me. So I never had a grandmother that was alive, but I got to talk to her sisters, and I never would have done that for the book. And I would have done it, but it would have been more like, it wouldn't have been as methodical, and I wouldn't have asked certain questions. And so I got a joy out of finding who I was. I got a time of fear of finding out what they've gone through, you know, but knowing all of that is in me, it holds me accountable because if they've gone through that, then I'm gonna be okay, you know. And so it was very therapeutic, and I hope everyone in their own way can kind of get that therapy through kind of self-exploration, which is what this was a project about.